In all major religions of the world, the concepts of heaven and hell have become significant topics. But what if these weren't just physical places, but also states of mind, reflections of our inner journey? In Buddhism, heaven and hell are not quite what you might think. They aren't places we go to forever, rewarded or punished for eternity. They're something more fluid, something more reflective of our own karma and impermanence. Let's dive deeper into this fascinating concept, shall we? Ready to explore the deeper truths of heaven, hell, and liberation? Subscribe now and join our journey into the heart of Buddhist wisdom. Samsara, the endless cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. The first thing we need to understand is samsara, this cycle of birth, death, and rebirth that affects us all. Just imagine for a moment, an endless loop, where every action ripples forward, shaping the next lifetime. Are we trapped or merely on a path to understand something greater? In samsara, beings go through birth, aging, death, and then birth again in different realms. There are 31 realms in total, each representing different states of existence, some filled with bliss, others steeped in suffering. Where do you think you'd end up if everything you've done till now shaped your next step? Heaven and hell are merely two of the many realms one can be reborn into, depending on karma. Unlike many monotheistic religions that see heaven and hell as final destinations, Buddhism views them as temporary stops. They are impermanent, much like everything else in samsara. Isn't it comforting, in a way, to know that suffering is not eternal, that joy too is transient, urging us not to cling but to seek something beyond? The concept of samsara is deeply philosophical. It invites us to reflect on the nature of existence itself. What does it mean to be caught in this cycle? It is a journey shaped by our own actions, sometimes uplifting, sometimes filled with hardship. The beauty of samsara lies in its impermanence, the opportunity to change, to grow, to learn, and ultimately to liberate ourselves. Does this endless cycle seem daunting or perhaps inspiring to you? Could it be that every experience, joyful or painful, is a step towards understanding something profound about our true nature? Heaven and hell in Buddhism, temporary joy, temporary pain. In monotheistic faiths, heaven is often a paradise of eternal bliss for the righteous, while hell is a fiery abyss for sinners. But Buddhism paints a different picture, one where both heaven and hell are just temporary. It makes me wonder, does the idea of eternity feel heavy to you? Would you truly want to be happy forever without change, or suffering endlessly without respite? Heaven, in Buddhism, is not an ultimate reward. Yes, it's a place of immense pleasure, a realm of beauty and tranquility, but it too is impermanent. It fades when one's good karma is exhausted, and then the cycle continues. And hell, oh, the vivid imagery of suffering, the immense pain in the realms of nirvana, is also not forever. Suffering in hell is the fruit of unwholesome karma, but once that karma has played out, the soul moves on, possibly to a more favorable realm. Think about this, if heaven is not the final goal, then what is the purpose of striving for good deeds? It isn't to secure a spot in an eternal paradise but to purify oneself, to create conditions that are conducive to understanding the deeper truths of life. Heaven and hell are experiences, reflections of karma, but never the final word. This impermanence encourages us not to rest on fleeting joy or despair at temporary suffering. Instead, we are urged to look deeper, beyond the realms of samsara. Isn't there something beautiful in that? Knowing that no matter how dire the current moment seems, it will change, giving us hope, always. The hell realms, often referred to as nirvana, are filled with intense suffering. The suffering here is not inflicted by an external judge but is the natural result of one's unwholesome actions. The very idea that suffering is self-created can be both empowering and humbling, don't you think? It places the responsibility squarely on our shoulders, not in a punishing way, but as a reminder that we have the power to change our destiny. Every unwholesome action we commit creates suffering, and every wholesome action plants the seeds of future happiness. In a way, heaven and hell are states of mind, experienced both in this life and beyond. Have you ever felt that your mind was in heaven or in hell, depending on your actions or thoughts? Judgment and karma, the law of cause and effect. Unlike religions with a supreme judge who determines our fate, Buddhism turns our attention inward. Who is the judge? It's not an all-powerful deity, it's us, through our actions. Karma is our judge, an intricate law of cause and effect that we weave with every thought, every word, every action. Isn't it humbling to realize that we are both the creators and experiencers of our karma? Karma is often misunderstood as a form of cosmic retribution. But it's not about punishment or reward, it's simply the natural consequence of our actions. Positive actions, compassion, honesty, kindness, bring favorable results, often leading to rebirth in a heavenly realm. Negative actions, on the other hand, create suffering, perhaps even rebirth in one of the hell realms. But the key here is that karma isn't some fixed, unchangeable force. Every moment is a new opportunity to shape our karma. Every choice can tilt the scales, towards joy, towards suffering, or perhaps, towards ultimate liberation. Have you ever considered how every little action, every choice you make, has the potential to change your future? The law of karma reminds us that nothing is set in stone. It gives us agency, it empowers us. No matter what our past actions have been, we have the ability to create a better future, starting right now. Isn't that a beautiful thought? That we are not bound by our past mistakes, but instead, we have the power to transform ourselves, moment by moment. Imagine a world where every action is taken with awareness of its consequences. Wouldn't it be a world filled with more compassion, more understanding? This is what the Buddha taught: awareness, mindfulness, and the understanding that our actions are like seeds. They may not bear fruit immediately, but they will eventually. The question is, what kind of seeds are we planting today? The ultimate goal, beyond heaven and hell. The ultimate goal in Buddhism isn't to reach heaven. That's surprising, isn't it? While many dream of an eternal paradise, Buddhism asks us to see beyond the temporary allure of heaven and to aim for nirvana, complete liberation. Imagine a state where you're free from attachment, free from craving, free from the constant tug-of-war between pleasure and pain. What does true freedom mean to you? Even heaven, with all its beauty, is bound within the cycle of samsara. Beings in heaven still face the inevitabilities of change, of leaving behind what they love, of eventually dying and being reborn. It's still suffering, in its own way. Nirvana, on the other hand, is the cessation of all suffering, the extinguishing of all desires that keep us bound to this endless loop. What does it take to reach nirvana? The Buddha taught the Eightfold Path: right understanding, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. Each step on this path is like a light illuminating the way out of the darkness of ignorance and craving. It's not an easy journey, but it's one filled with meaning, isn't it? The kind of meaning that makes every moment, every breath, worthwhile. The Eightfold Path is often described as a middle way, neither indulgence in pleasure nor harsh self-denial. It's about finding balance, about living a life that is in harmony with our true nature. Imagine walking a path where every step brings you closer to inner peace, where each day you shed more of the illusions that bind you. Wouldn't that be the most profound journey one could take? The journey to nirvana is not about escaping life, it's about fully embracing it, seeing it for what it truly is, and then transcending it. The practice of mindfulness plays a crucial role in this journey. By being fully present, by observing our thoughts and emotions without attachment, we begin to see the transient nature of all things. Have you ever noticed how a painful thought or feeling loses its power when you simply observe it, without reacting? This is the essence of mindfulness, seeing things as they are, without adding layers of judgment or desire. It's a powerful tool, one that can lead us to the very threshold of nirvana. The realms of existence, a closer look. The 31 realms of existence within samsara offer a fascinating insight into the vastness of our journey. These realms range from the highest heavenly realms, where beings experience great bliss and subtle forms of existence, to the lowest hell realms, where beings endure intense suffering. But these realms are not just places, they are also states of mind that we experience even in our daily lives. The heavenly realms are filled with beauty, peace, and pleasure. Beings born here have accumulated great merit, and their existence is one of joy. But even in these lofty realms, the seeds of suffering are present, because attachment still exists. Have you ever experienced a moment of pure joy, only to feel the fear of losing it creeping in? This is the nature of the heavenly realms, beautiful, yet impermanent. The human realm is considered unique among all the realms because it offers the perfect balance of pleasure and pain. It is in the human realm that beings have the greatest opportunity to practice the Dharma and achieve liberation. The challenges we face as humans, the mix of joy and suffering, create the ideal conditions for spiritual growth. Have you ever thought about how your struggles might actually be opportunities for growth, for understanding something deeper about yourself and the nature of existence? The animal realm, the realm of hungry ghosts, preta, and the hell realms are characterized by varying degrees of suffering and ignorance. Animals are driven by basic instincts, often living in fear and without the ability to reflect on their actions. The hungry ghosts are beings tormented by insatiable desire, always craving but never finding satisfaction. And the hell realms, as we've discussed, are places of intense suffering, the result of deeply unwholesome karma. Yet, even in the darkest of realms, there is hope. No being is condemned forever. The law of karma ensures that all states are temporary, that change is always possible. Isn't it comforting to know that no matter how dark things may seem, there is always the potential for change, for movement towards something better? The nature of liberation. What is nirvana? Nirvana is often misunderstood as some kind of mystical place, a heaven-like realm where all is perfect. But in Buddhism, nirvana is not a place, it is a state of being, a state of freedom. It is the end of suffering, the end of the cycle of birth and death. Imagine being free from all fears, all desires, all attachments. What would that feel like? Nirvana is described as the extinguishing of the fires of greed, hatred, and delusion. It is a state of perfect peace, where the mind is unshakable, no longer swayed by the ups and downs of life. It is beyond pleasure and pain, beyond all dualities. It is the ultimate freedom, a state that cannot be fully described in words but must be experienced directly. The Buddha described nirvana as the unborn, the unconditioned, the unmade, the uncompounded. It is the cessation of all that binds us, the end of the restless seeking that characterizes our existence in samsara. But this doesn't mean it's an escape from life. On the contrary, those who have attained nirvana are often deeply engaged with the world, but they do so from a place of wisdom and compassion, without attachment. Imagine living your life without fear, without the constant craving for something more, without the aversion to discomfort or pain. This is what nirvana represents, a state of equanimity, where one is fully present, fully alive, but no longer caught in the cycles of desire and aversion. Isn't that the kind of peace we all long for, deep down? Practical steps on the path, living with mindfulness and compassion. The journey towards nirvana is not a distant, abstract goal, it is something we can work towards in our daily lives, through the practice of mindfulness, ethical conduct, and compassion. The Eightfold Path provides a clear guide, but it's up to each of us to walk it, step by step. Mindfulness is about being fully present in each moment, aware of our thoughts, emotions, and actions. It's about seeing things as they truly are, without getting lost in fantasies or fears. When we practice mindfulness, we begin to see the impermanent nature of all things, and this insight helps us let go of attachment. Have you ever noticed how a negative emotion loses its grip when you simply observe it, without trying to push it away or hold on to it? Compassion is another key element of the path. The Buddha taught that all beings want happiness and wish to avoid suffering. When we understand this, it becomes natural to treat others with kindness, to wish for their well-being. Compassion is not just a feeling, it's a way of relating to the world, a way of seeing others as part of ourselves. Imagine a world where everyone treated each other with compassion. Wouldn't it be a world worth striving for? Ethical conduct is about living in a way that causes no harm to ourselves or others. The precepts, guidelines for ethical living, help us align our actions with our highest values. By practicing right speech, right action, and right livelihood, we create the conditions for inner peace and clarity. Have you ever felt the deep satisfaction that comes from acting in alignment with your values, from knowing that you are contributing to the well-being of others? The role of meditation, cultivating inner peace and wisdom. Meditation is a cornerstone of Buddhist practice, a tool for cultivating inner peace and insight. Through meditation, we learn to calm the mind, to see clearly, and to develop wisdom. There are many forms of meditation in Buddhism, but they all share the goal of helping us understand the true nature of reality and free ourselves from suffering. One of the most well-known forms of meditation is vipassana, or insight meditation. In vipassana, we observe our thoughts, emotions, and sensations with detachment, seeing them as they are, impermanent, unsatisfactory, and not self. This practice helps us break the habit of identifying with our thoughts and emotions, allowing us to experience a deeper sense of freedom. Have you ever had a moment in meditation where you felt a glimpse of this freedom, a sense that you are not your thoughts, that there is a deeper stillness within you? Another important form of meditation is metta, or loving-kindness meditation. In this practice, we cultivate feelings of love and goodwill towards ourselves and others. We begin by wishing ourselves happiness and peace, and then extend these wishes to others, first to those we love, then to those we feel neutral towards, and finally to those we find difficult. This practice helps us develop an open heart, to see others with compassion rather than judgment. Imagine how different our interactions would be if we approached everyone with a heart full of loving kindness. Meditation is not about escaping the world, it's about engaging with it more fully, from a place of clarity and peace. It helps us see the interconnectedness of all things, to understand that our actions have consequences, and that we are all part of the same web of existence. Isn't that a powerful realization? To know that we are not separate, that our well-being is tied to the well-being of others? The challenges of the path, facing our own mind. The path to liberation is not without its challenges. In fact, one of the greatest challenges we face is our own mind. The Buddha taught that the mind is both the source of our suffering and the key to our liberation. It is through understanding and transforming the mind that we can free ourselves from the cycle of samsara. Our minds are often filled with unwholesome tendencies, greed, hatred, and delusion. These tendencies create suffering for ourselves and others. But the Buddha also taught that these tendencies can be overcome through practice, through the cultivation of wholesome qualities such as generosity, loving kindness, and wisdom. Facing our own mind can be difficult. It requires honesty, courage, and patience. It means acknowledging our flaws, our fears, and our desires, without judgment. It means being willing to let go of the stories we tell ourselves, the identities we cling to. But it is through this process of facing ourselves that we find true freedom. Have you ever noticed how liberating it can be to simply accept yourself as you are, without trying to be someone else? The path is not about perfection, it's about progress. It's about taking one step at a time, learning from our mistakes, and continuing to move forward. It's about having compassion for ourselves, understanding that we are all on this journey together, each doing the best we can. Isn't that a comforting thought? To know that we are not alone, that we are all walking this path, each at our own pace, each in our own way. Conclusion: a journey of liberation. Heaven and hell in Buddhism challenge our conventional ideas of eternal reward and punishment. They remind us that everything, even suffering and joy, is impermanent. So, why chase after temporary comfort? Why fear temporary pain? Instead, why not seek freedom from it all? Understanding samsara, karma, and the nature of heaven and hell offers us a deeper insight into the Buddhist path. It's not about seeking temporary refuge, it's about transcending the entire cycle of rebirth, achieving a state of lasting peace. It's about living with mindfulness, compassion, and wisdom, knowing that the ultimate goal is not just a better life, but true liberation. So, the next time you think about heaven or hell, perhaps ask yourself, are these places out there, or are they within us? Is it about where we go, or is it about what we do here and now that shapes everything that comes after? The answers lie within our journey, each step, each choice, each act of kindness or moment of awareness, leading us, perhaps, towards something truly beyond all suffering, to nirvana itself. What could be more profound than that? The journey towards liberation is not an easy one, but it is one filled with meaning, growth, and transformation. It is a journey that invites us to look deeply into our own hearts, to understand the nature of our own mind, and to cultivate the qualities that lead to true freedom. It is a journey that asks us to let go of our attachments, our fears, and our desires, and to find the peace that lies beyond all of it. Ultimately, the path of Buddhism is a path of love, love for ourselves, love for others, and love for the truth. It is about seeing the interconnectedness of all things, understanding that our actions affect not only ourselves but everyone around us. It is about living in a way that brings peace, not only to ourselves but to the world. And isn't that what we all truly want? To live in peace, to be free from suffering, to find happiness that is not dependent on external conditions? May we all have the courage to walk this path, to face our own minds, to cultivate compassion, and to seek the liberation that lies beyond all suffering. May we all find the peace of nirvana, the ultimate freedom from the cycle of birth and death. And may we all help each other along the way, knowing that we are all in this together, each one of us a light on the path towards liberation.